Most horrific natural disasters. Flash floods caught on 4K camera 2023. Turkey flood of 23. The 2023 Anlurfa and Adyaman in two Turkish provinces had a series of disastrous floods on March 15, 2023, which are known as the Turkish floods. The floods were caused by the torrential rains that occurred just 1 month after a deadly earthquake struck the same regions. At least 21 people died in the floods, 17 in Şanlıurfa and 4 in Adıyaman. Among the dead including a 1-year-old child. 2 people were killed and 4 others were listed as missing when a container home in Tut, where earthquake survivors were residing, was swept away. In Şanlıurfa, 5 Syrian nationals were found dead inside a flooded basement apartment, while 2 other bodies were retrieved from a trap van at an underpass. Additionally, 4 people were killed and 2 firefighters were reported missing. The floods caused extensive damage, and several people were evacuated from a drenched campsite where earthquake survivors were sheltering in tents. In Anlurfa, the intensive care unit of the AUBA Training and Research Hospital was flooded, forcing 25 patients to be evacuated. Floods affect traffic. An underpass in Haliliye district was flooded and trapped many people in vehicles. Nearly 2,000 homes and offices were damaged throughout the province. The floods had worsened with the misery of thousands of people who were already left homeless and displaced by the earthquake that rocked the same region on 6th of February 2023, which caused the deaths of more than 59,000 people and collapsed or badly damaged 300,000 buildings. The Turkish government committed to providing help to those impacted by the flood and asked citizens to remain cautious and take essential precautions during the continued extreme weather conditions. Deputy Chairman for the Republican People's Party, Ali Oztunc, lambasted the Justice and Development Party, calling them incompetent and uninterested in supporting the impacted. North American floods. Between December 31, 2022 and March 25, 2023, California saw periods of intense rainfall brought on by a number of atmospheric rivers, which caused floods in sections of Southern California, the California Central Coast, Northern California, and Nevada. At least 22 people died and property was damaged as a result of the flooding. At least 200,000 homes and businesses lost power during the December-January storms, and around 6,000 persons were ordered to leave. The media extensively covered the floods as an illustration of how climate change is causing more extreme variation in the weather, particularly cycles of precipitation and drought. California has recorded comparable events almost every decade since records began in the 19th century, according to scientists contacted by the Los Angeles Times, but more research is needed to establish the connection. Other scientists have emphasized that floods were caused by ocean warming, directly related to climate change. The water cycle is being accelerated by climate change. In addition to more violent flooding caused by the increased rainfall, many areas will experience increased drought. Scientists have both predicted it and observed it in recent years. The IPCC 6th Assessment Report of the International Panel on Climate Change has documented both. Before the rain started, California had been in an acute drought. Due to the storms, Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency on January 4, 2023. On January 9, 2023, President Joe Biden then proclaimed a state of emergency in 17 counties in California. President Biden was urged to issue a state of emergency for San Luis Obispo County and Santa Barbara County in a letter submitted by 2 lawmakers the same day. Biden authorized a major disaster proclamation for Santa Cruz, Sacramento, and Merced counties on January 14th. A few days later, the counties of Monterey, San Luis Obispo, and Santa Barbara were added. The storms that caused the floods in California in 2022-2023 also affected Nevada, Arizona, and Utah. One national park, Redwood National Park, as well as more than 40 state parks in California were entirely closed in January. Dozens of Amtrak trains were delayed, ran on modified schedules, or canceled outright owing to the flooding as well. San Francisco had its second wettest day with 5.46 inches, 13.9 centimeters of rain, while Oakland set a record for 24-hour rainfall with 4.75 in on December 31st. The Santa Cruz branch rail line experienced serious damage. US 101 was inundated in South San Francisco, California, while SR 84 was closed due to landslides and flooding in Fremont. This prompted the Oakland Zoo to close until at least January 17th. Road washouts and flooding were frequently reported. Flooding was aggravated by the sequence of storms as they exceeded the soil's capacity to absorb up water. A tree fell on a 2-year-old boy's family home in Occidental, California in January, and he later passed away from his wounds. A meteorological station in Nicasio reported a wind gust of 101 miles per hour during what forecasters dubbed a bomb cyclone on January 4th. In January, a levee along the Consumas River collapsed, flooding the South Sacramento 99 freeway. In Wilton, evacuations were mandated. It was necessary to rescue several persons who were stuck in their vehicles. Road flooding claimed the lives of 3 people. Private land was found to be the source of the levee failures. About 500,000 customers experienced severe power outages and tree damage as a result of wind gusts of above 60 miles per hour. In January, there was a widespread flooding along the central coast. A 5-year-old boy who was on his way to school was carried away by a flash flood outside of Paso Robles. Rescuers could only reach his mother because he and his mother had already left the car. One of his sneakers was the only item recovered after a 7-hour search. In December, flood warnings were issued for northern Nevada. In just 1 hour, 7.5 inches of snow fell in some areas of the Sierra Nevada. Reno, Nevada recorded its 3rd wettest day on record. Cornville and Yavapai County, Arizona, have flooded from Oak Creek on January 1st as a result of a deluge. Flood warnings were issued for the area as the creek's water level increased to more than 8 feet. The city of Draper, Utah, experienced flooding during the night of January 10th when heavy rains rolled through the area. More than 30 homes were swamped as several inches of rain poured. Sao Paulo floods. During the 2023 Brazilian Carnival holiday weekend, the state of Sao Paulo experienced deadly floods and landslides due to record-breaking rainfall that reached 682 millimeters in 24 hours. There were at least 64 fatalities, 63 of which occurred in São Sebastião. The impacted regions of Sao Paulo were located in coastal villages surrounded by mountains. On 18th through 19th of February 2023, an area of low pressure off the coast of Brazil delivered moist onshore flow, leading to considerable rainfall in the region. Through an orographic lift, the Sao Paulo mountains increased the amount of precipitation. A total of 682 millimeters fell in just 24 hours in Bertioga, just outside of São Sebastião. The city observed 626 millimeters in the same period. 395 millimeters in Guaraja, 337 millimeters in Ilhabela, and 335 meters in Ubatuba are 3 further noteworthy totals. The amount of rain in Bertioga was the highest for a 24-hour period nationwide. This far exceeds the previous record of 530 millimeters of 15th February 2022, which caused deadly floods in Petrópolis. Meteorologists at Metzel Meteorologica indicated that could be among the largest non-tropical cyclone rainfall totals in the world. Further rains on 21st February aggravated things. The local meteorological agency warned of further rains on 22nd and 23rd of February. The abundant rains prompted a cascade of landslides and mudslides across Sao Paulo, with the city of São Sebastião being especially hard hit. Authorities reported 44 fatalities as in February 21st. 43 of them occurred in São Sebastião and the remaining 3 in Ubatuba. Numerous people are still missing, and there were an additional 23 injuries, including 6 serious ones. In São Sebastião, at least 50 dwellings were obliterated. At least 2,496 people lost their homes or were forced to relocate. Numerous landslides covered or completely destroyed portions of the Rio Santos Highway, the principal road in the area connecting it to the state of Rio de Janeiro. Another road that ran between Santos and Bertioga was closed. On February 21st, Juque was affected by landslides that caused the displacement of 80 people. Wind over 55 kilometers per hour and waves of more than 1 meter necessitated the closure of the port of Santos on 18th February. Local emergency management agencies quickly dispatched more than 100 firefighters for search and rescue operations. On the ground looking for survivors on February 21st were more than 600 personnel from the state of Sao Paulo government, the Brazilian army, the federal police, and municipal government of São Sebastião, and volunteers. Rescuers from what they described as a sea of mud included a 2-year-old and a mother who was in the middle of giving birth. 7.5 tons of humanitarian supplies, including food, water, and hygiene kits, have been provided in Sao Paulo by February 21st. Some humanitarian efforts have been hampered by criminal activity, such as theft of supplies from trucks. On February 20th, Governor Tarcísio de Freitas issued a state of emergency for 5 communities. A 180-day state of calamity was subsequently declared for Sao Paulo. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, the president of Brazil, visited the devastated districts on that day and declared that São Sebastião will be rebuilt in safer areas. He urged those who were residing on the hillsides to relocate. On February 22nd, the NAM Atlântico departed from Rio de Janeiro Navy Arsenal carrying a field hospital that could accommodate up to 300 patients. On February 23rd, the ship reached the port of São Sebastião with 180 Marines who were assigned to handle heavy machinery to aid in the search and rescue operations, along with 28 medical personnel of various specializations, including surgeons, dentists, and orthopedists. The Brazil Carnival celebrations at Bertioga, Ilhabela, São Sebastião, and Ubatuba were postponed.